lies. It was just
bullshit. What's the difference?
It wasn't lies. It was
just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit.
Who said liar? I said bullshit artist. And what's the difference? Because I don't lie.
Yo, it's No Lies, Just Bullshit. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode, your favorite tattoo and storytelling podcast. I'm your host, Nick Sports. I'm going to be here for the duration. Thank you for tuning in. Before we get into this week's episode, which is a heater, I'm going to touch on a couple things. First of all, and always, Alliance Tattoo Supply. You got to go to alliancetattoosupply.com. They just moved into their new facility. Bigger, better space so they can serve you better. Happy for these guys. Glad that it's growing. They support good tattooing. They support Alley Cat Tattoo. They support No Lies Just Bullshit. Can't thank them enough. What you need to do is support them. Go over to go over to AllianceTattooSupply.com and just pick up whatever it is that you need to run your joint. You know, this is tattooer owned in the heart of Virginia. They do make deliveries if you're local. And over the years, I've recommended these guys to a lot of my friends who tattoo. And, a lot of them have switched to this company. And I can't say enough good things about the people that run it and how they run it. You can get Lineage needles, which are second to none. They have, grips, disposables. They have machines. They have power supplies. They have table drapes. They have thermofax paper. They have all the cleaning supplies. Everything you need to run your tattoo shop, you can get from AllianceTattooSupply.com, and you can feel good about doing it. I'm not one of these guys who just, we're partnered up, and I'm gonna say whatever. That's not how I get down. So, if you go over there and you support those guys, you'll be glad you did it. You'll have good customer service. You'll have great product and great consistency. And as we all know, or maybe you don't know, but I'm going to tell you right now, consistency is everything. Consistency is everything in life. That's what I tell my children. That's what I talk about with the folks that that I work with. Consistency is everything. And that's what you'll get when you order from AllianceTattooSupply.com. Also, the Norfolk Tattoo Convention is coming up in November. I always have to do this. I got to look up the dates. I should know them. But it's going to be a great show. I know my man Juan Puente is coming back. I know, let me see here. Norfolk Tattoo Expo, November 6th through the 9th, 2025. Now the 6th is a Thursday, and that's just basically a time for tattooers, vendors, everyone to gather and hang out. Crow is obviously, JD Crow, if you don't know who I'm talking about, is a legend in the tattoo business. He revolutionized the Flash situation. He's putting on conventions since the 70s. He wants to make it a special thing for people to gather, which is one of the things I like so much about this show, because he puts some focus on that. And he wants to give people the opportunity to come in, set up their booths, and set up their rooms, and then just mingle and hang out and talk to like-minded people. And it's full of great tattooers, and it's just a fun time. And I'm going to be there. And hopefully you're going to be there. It's going to be a good move. Coming off Pagoda, which was an incredible show. Shouts to Justin Weatherholt. Shout to Joe Johns. Shout to Joe's wife and everyone else that helped, that's involved in everything. Went off without a hitch. Not surprised. And it was a great opportunity for folks to get together. I took my whole crew up there. We closed the shop down. And I'm just glad I did it, man. It was a fucking great time. It's going to be an epic memory for everyone involved. And I got some great podcasts. So if you tuned in to the last episode, it was a great, great time with myself, Angelo Miller, Jay Smalley, and Jimmy P. All good friends of mine, people I care about, and I'm glad to record with. And what makes those episodes so special is that I know those guys, and I'm comfortable with those guys, and we can talk very freely, and we can just sort of, put exclamation points on the things that each other are saying. This week's episode is more of an opportunity for me to get to know someone who I met through Pagoda. His name's Sam Yamini. I met him a couple years ago, and very, very nice fella. And I wasn't aware at the time He gave me a print that year, and it blew me away, and I loved it. And he does large-scale Japanese tattooing, and he does it very, very well. He's a Dedication Tattoo in Denver. And so I met him like on the floor at Pagoda. And then, you see people at a party. I don't know about y'all, but when I'm partying, I usually stick to the people I know because I'm getting a little loose and I won't embarrass nobody, meaning myself. So I would see Sam at the party and stuff, say hello, bump drinks or whatever. But then he sat in for Chris Magnotti's episode, which is epic. And it's one of the best ever. And it was something that I really enjoyed. And I was able to sort of get a feel of what kind of guy Sam was. And great fucking guy. And, Magnotti wouldn't have brought him if he wasn't a great guy. And so that just, as soon as we finished Magnotti's episode, I knew that I was going to ask Sam to do one the next time I saw him. Next time I saw him was Pagoda. And this is the outcome of our conversation. And honestly, the beginning, the twists and turns is not some stuff I did not expect to hear. And it's a cool story, and it's a lot of fun, and I thank Sam for doing it, and I thank you folks for listening and supporting No Lies Just Bullshit. Please be sure and follow us on Instagram at No Lies Just Bullshit, and check out the new Shop Talk show on YouTube. It's on the No Lies Just BS page. We've been dropping some chronicles, which are just stories from my life, but we've been doing Shop Talk, and it has the full visuals, and we've got a great producer, and he's been helping us sort of show it in a way that's much more conducive to you guys being able to see the tattoos and enjoy them, and it's fun. It's usually me, Andrew, and Porter, but we've had some guests on that've been great. I'm going to have guests in the future, and it's just a lot of fun. So please do us a favor, and I hate asking this, but please go to No Lies Just BS YouTube page and like and subscribe. Anything that you can like and give us some attention over there, we'd greatly appreciate it. We're just trying to just get to the point where we can continue to bring it to you. And it's a lot of fun, and I want it to grow. So help me do that. Appreciate y'all. And, here we go. Sam Yamini, No Lies Just Bullshit.
And I'll react like a rock waller. Who could relate? We play for high stakes at gunpoint. Catch them and break. Undress some time with tape. No escape. The Coleon, Fettuccine, Capone. Home in your own zone to get kidnapped and clapped in your dome. We got it sewn. The firm are the wars unknown. Lower your tone, face it. Homicide cases get thrown. Aristocrats. Politic and deli with diplomats. To me, I'm an official Mac Lex Coupe.
Criminal thoughts in the blue ports. My destiny to be the Newport. A nigga poorly gotta die too short. A nigga's dead on. I Kia Heron. They found his head on the couch with his dick in his mouth. I put the head out. Yo.
That's kind of the way I like doing stuff. It's a good way to keep moving. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, it kind of prompts things too.
Correct.
Things just come up through it.
How old are you?
I'm 44.
44. I'm 3. I just turned 47 in June.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is like super far south in the state.
Yeah.
It's like 40 miles from Juarez, like the Texas border.
Yeah.
It's right there. So it's border town, desert.
I don't know exactly how far it is, but like I love like the West and the Billy the Kid stories and all that shit. I love that stuff, and that's a lot of New Mexico, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. Right next to Las Cruces, there's a little town called Mesilla, and it's pretty much same city. It's just called the town of Mesilla. And there's like a bunch of there was a courthouse where Billy the Kid was tried there, and a lot of that stuff took place in that area. So you go in there and there's like plaques and all the historical stuff that says this happened here and whatever.
There's a podcast called Wild West Extravaganza, and it's just like I would tell the timeline of a or we would talk and you would tell me. He's telling the timeline of historic figures, so he'll pick an outlaw and just name this and born on this day, and he'll just tell their life story.
I love that.
It's super informative. It's just it's just a series of information and stories, but I love it. I listen to that shit a lot.
Yeah, that's super cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff.
Have you listened to Cocaine and Rhinestones?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's just so
What do you
great.
think about season 2?
I haven't listened to it. I didn't know there was a season 2.
Or season 1 rules.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Season 2. Do you know who the dude is? It's David Allen Coates.
Yeah.
You can tell he's an eccentric in the way he talks.
Right.
And he has another podcast called Your Favorite Band Sucks.
Okay.
And him and his buddy they just name every band under the sun and talk about why they're terrible. Which I don't love it. Sarah loves that one. It kind of, I just, man, I ain't got no room. I want to hear why something's great.
Same.
And I understand why people like that because it feeds the idea that they could talk. Sarah hates the Beatles and she wants to tell me why they're terrible. She can listen to that first.
Right.
But the second season of Cocaine Rhinestones, he like the later part of the first season, he would tell a story that was kind of not related to bring it into. Well, in the season 2, it's every episode is about George Jones and Tammy Wynette. But the first episode is like 30 minutes on pinball machines. And then the next one is like 30 minutes on bullfighting.
Right.
And then the next one's like 30 minutes on this Prince of Spain.
Does it feel like he's grasping at content or something? Like
it just doesn't feel relevant to George Jones.
Sure.
But he's a great storyteller, and his voice is odd, and I like eccentric people. So it didn't really bother me. I don't care to hear something about I wouldn't seek out information about a pinball machine, but I'm also curious to hear if he's going to share that.
Weird random knowledge is always fascinating.
Correct. But a lot of people fucking hate it.
Yeah.
That's why I asked if you like second season, because so many people are just like, this is trash.
Yeah.
But man, the stories are interesting, and country folks and southern people tell stories, and that's why I tell stories. That's why I do what I do, and I love this.
Right. Yeah. Same.
So what was going on in New Mexico? Your parents from there?
No, my mom is from Philadelphia originally, and my dad is from Dallas, and they met in chiropractic school.
Okay.
Pretty interesting, actually. They met in school, and then we're kind of together, and then they split up. My mom had moved on. My dad got with another woman, and I was born. And this other woman that I call my bio mom, she's my biological mother, but she didn't raise me. She was not stable, so she was deemed unfit in court, and my dad got full custody. And then he approached the woman I refer to as my mom to see if she would be interested in helping him to raise me.
Who he was originally with, anyway.
Yeah, they were.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it really is.
Cause you have your mom kind of chose to be your mom. That's
she did.
Dope.
Yeah, it's so dope.
Yeah,
she's amazing. I'm so grateful that she did.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, because I can't imagine who I would be or what my life would be like if my biological mother was the person who raised me. She was.
Yeah.
Do
you ever know her? Did you ever talk to her?
No, she sends me stuff in the mail sometimes to the tattoo shop, but that's really it.
You just kind of leave it alone?
Yeah, I tried to have a relationship with her when I moved from New Mexico to Dallas, where the rest of my family was, when I was 18, 19, and she lived there at the time. And I was like, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's an age where you might want to. You might not see the harm it would do to your family, and you might want to just do it because you think you're becoming independent, you're becoming a man.
Right.
I thought differently at 18 than I do now.
Yeah, same. But in the first time I sat down with her, she told me that God doesn't want people like me because I have tattoos. But she didn't refer to the tattoo. She just said that to my face. And so then, the next time I tried to hang out with her, I tried to set a boundary. I was like, listen, I'm grown. You know what I mean? I respect your views, but if you can't accept me for who I am and not antagonize me over it, then we're not going to be able to have a relationship.
Yeah.
She was like, okay. And then I went over on Thanksgiving Day. She's like, come over, my brother's gonna come and all this stuff. So I go over, she's like, all right, we're gonna say grace. And I start to say, I'm bowing my head, I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
So I'm just being courteous, and I feel something wet on my head. And I look up and she's got this jar of holy water and she's sprinkling it on me.
On just you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And at that point I was just like, all right. That's it. It's I tried to communicate with you about, not doing this. I'm willing to try to have a relationship, but
Yeah, you probably could.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I've got parents. I don't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That was about me trying to have sympathy for her, and
Well, it's also interesting, like, to look at someone and maybe you see yourself in them. It's interesting if she has family that for you to know them and see if
Exactly.
you're similar. All those things are interesting for us as human beings, but you can't just let somebody have their way with you. You know,
No.
just treat you however they. So she's just extreme religious.
yeah, very Catholic.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I moved after I moved to Denver a couple years after. I got this letter in the mail, and it was like this rambling, typed out 4-page thing that just started with like, can't remember. It said the Harry Potterism's lifestyle is the gateway to the lake of fire. That was like the opening sentence on this letter, and then
I'm not out here performing fucking.
I was just like, wow, this is great. So I read through it, and then basically the gist of the whole thing was that she was trying to say that she would pay for me to have all my tattoos removed if I would join the seminary school.
What?
Yeah.
It's wild, bro.
Yeah, and at this point,
All
I'm like,
the shit you could say to her.
yeah.
Like, it seems like you've been a nice guy throughout this. You can say wild shit to her.
Uh-huh.
Like, what the fuck you been? You know?
Yeah. What's wrong with you? Why do you know?
Yeah.
You had a child.
Yeah,
and
how
like-
come the judge wouldn't let you look after me? Crazy bitch.
Yeah, and I mean that went down in Kansas City, Missouri in like 1983.
Yeah.
She was deemed unfit so you can imagine how drastic it would need to be for at that time, in
yeah.
that place for a judge to take a child from their mother.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel bad for her, you know what I mean? Like I want to, you know, like just out of the kindness of my heart, like, you know, reach out to her and stuff, but it's like I don't feel like it's not something that I need. Again, it would be for her.
Sure.
You know, and
I mean, she's defining you by something that doesn't define you.
yeah.
You know, like, we don't have tattoos, but we're individuals. You love tattoos, you indulge in tattoos, and that's the thing for you. But it doesn't, I don't know about you, I don't want to speak for you, but for me, it's not the only thing that defines me.
No, 100%.
My family, my friends, you know, the things that I love are tattoos, tattoos, and this business is a huge, huge part of it. But it's not everything, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it definitely doesn't make me good or bad, you know? It doesn't make any of us good or bad.
100%.
Man, that's wild. So you said when you were 18, so you were already tattooed at that point?
Yeah.
When did you first start getting tattooed?
I got first tattoo when I was 17. Yeah, I got the original Krylon spray paint logo in between my shoulders.
Yeah? Sick.
Yeah.
Big graffiti writer back in the day?
Uh-huh.
That's big in like Arizona and New Mexico, right?
It is.
Really?
Yeah. But that was like the 90s, you know. That was kind of the beginning of my mentality to just live outside the box, you know. Punk rock, skateboarding, hip hop led me into graffiti, you know, and it's like it's a lot like tattooing, you know, like-minded individuals
Yeah.
living outside of, you know, the bounds of what normal society thinks is right, you know, working towards a common goal, you know,
Did you
pushing each other, being competitive.
Did you listen to Mario's episode?
Yeah.
I didn't know he did time for graffiti.
Yeah.
It's wild. And he didn't give a fuck either. He's like, I'll do the time. I'm not fucking sorry.
Man, when you're looking at 5 years on paper or 1 month in jail, sometimes it's an easy choice.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, do I want to not be able to leave the state and have to do, you know, piss tests and all the things? Like, I'll sit for 30 days instead of having to deal with that for 5 years.
I always
you know?
thought graffiti was dope because it was an element of hip hop, but I never got deep into it.
Yeah.
Friends of mine were doing stuff. I had one friend who would do, you know, his tag, and then another friend who would do an image with it. Like, he didn't have a word tag. He would
Right.
just do
do characters and
characters and
stuff.
stuff, and
Yeah.
it was always dope.
Mhm.
Real cool shit. So, who did your first tattoo?
His name was Blue. Yeah.
My boy Blue.
Yeah, he was my boy. He's this nomad biker dude that came through my hometown, and I worked in a head shop at the time.
All right.
So, because of graffiti and stuff, I never wanted to work a normal job. You know, but when you get out of high school, it's like, what do you do, right?
Yeah.
So I started going to college just because trying to move forward.
Right.
You know.
I'm sure your parents was like, thought that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I hated it. You know, I've been over school. I didn't want to keep going to school.
Yeah.
You know, and while I was there, I'd met this guy who had moved to my hometown to open a head shop and I was like, let me paint a mural on the inside of your shop.
Yeah.
So I was in there before they were open, patching holes in the walls and, painting. And while I was doing that, he was building a glass blowing studio. So he made the glass pipes to sell in the store. And so during that whole process, I saw him start to blow glass, and my mind was blown. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Get to make weed pipes?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Were you a big stoner as a kid?
Yeah. And so I asked him if he'd teach me to blow glass. He was like, yeah, I need an apprentice, you know what I mean? Here's the deal. So I started doing that. And then, once the shop got busy enough, I was working working the counter in the head shop and going to college.
So were you all making the pieces to sell in the store?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a common thing, right?
No.
Yeah, it's like higher level shit.
Yeah, especially back then.
Yeah.
Glass blowing was very limited in what was available and accomplishable, color palette and all that. But no one ever saw it, so it was a big draw for the store. We could do customs, you know what I mean? People come in there like, oh, I want this color or this shape or whatever. We'd make it for them,
Fucking dope.
Yeah, it was tight. And so I was doing that, and this guy comes into the shop, and his truck broke down. He'd been passing through town. He had this tow behind trailer, did tattoos. He was like, just checking it out. And so I convinced the boss to let him tattoo out of this like empty room in the back.
Yeah.
So he could make his money and move on.
Yeah.
Kick down to the shop or whatever. I got a tattoo from him, and then. The boss quickly recognized the monetary benefits of having the tattooing there. So Blue ended up staying around. I got my first tattoo. I got a few tattoos from him.
Was he a decent tattooer?
For the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the time. Old school biker shit.
Yeah.
3 rounds, 7 rounds.
Sure.
That's it. Come from the school of thought where, most tattoos are, the size of a racquetball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't do a ton of big things. He did some bigger stuff. But you don't need big mags and all this, variety. It was just, doing little stuff.
You don't have to respond, or we don't have to go into this if you want to, but I'm always curious about family. Mm-hmm. And both your parents are physicians, and you're working, you're a graffiti kid, stoner, working at a head shop, hanging out with an old biker.
Yeah.
How stoked are they?
They were supportive.
That's pretty.
Yeah, they were
cool.
pretty supportive. My mom really questioned what I was doing and encouraged me to stay in school.
Because I'm sure she was worried. Not that she didn't trust you.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just it's not outside the bounds of, like you said, of normal society, so she doesn't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
But she was like, okay, like that's what you want to do,
That's fucking cool. That's surprising.
Yeah, it was cool. My dad was into it. He always supported my artistic endeavors and.
So
Until
you got a hippie vibe or anything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Real hippie vibe. I had a sweat lodge in my backyard when I was growing up.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's really hippie vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, he was rad. He was a cool dude for sure.
That's great, man.
Yeah, he just passed away in May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. I'm sorry to hear that. But man, most of the people that sit here and tell me these stories are like, didn't get along with their parents, didn't get along with their teachers, punk rock ruled. Fuck everybody kind of shit. And I never really had that. My mom and I don't get along great, but I never had this like fuck my family attitude ever.
Right.
So when someone's like, yeah, my dad was super fucking cool, I love hearing that.
Yeah.
That's just, because what are you going to do? You try to control somebody?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Better off letting them figure some shit out,
100%. He was really good at that, letting me do my own thing and trying to set boundaries like, it's all right if you want to do this, but if you cross this line, these are the consequences.
Yeah. I mean, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. That was great. So yeah, they were pretty cool all in all. I think my mom definitely questioned it more than my dad did.
And again, I don't want to get too personal if you don't want to. Did they raise you together in one household?
So they got divorced when I was 8. And
So for 8 years it was 3 of you kind of deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so I'd go back and forth after that.
Pretty common with divorced parents. But your mom stuck with it. It was never like walking away.
No.
Then you're her boy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
So did old Blue teach you the fucking ropes?
He did. He got me started. You know what I mean? I'll say that.
Had a lot of jobs outside of this alternative world.
No.
That's
just a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. I worked at like a greenhouse. I worked at Sonic.
The greenhouse still has hippie stoner vibes.
Yeah, one of my dad's friends was like, he had a reforestation business, so they would grow trees to a certain height, small enough that they could still ship them, you know what I mean? And, take them to South America or whatever, and, try to repopulate trees and after fires or deforestation and stuff like that. So he gave me a job, which was great. It's good to make money, but it was like I was by myself all the time. I could only work on the weekends, so the normal staff wasn't there. So I'm going to school.
Young kid, you want to be goofing off with other people.
Exactly. So I got a job at Sonic. I worked there for a while. That was great. Super fun.
Yeah.
Just fucking off.
I think everybody should work some kind of restaurant or fast food or something.
Yeah, I agree. As
a young person, because it teaches you to rely on other people and to be relied on when you're in the fucking weeds when it's busy. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of just silliness and people goofing off. I bet some hilarious motherfuckers working at a fast food restaurant. Hardee's, I don't know if they have it out west, but Hardee's. It's Carl's Jr. out there. I think.
Right.
Yeah, I work at Hardee's and Pizza Hut, bro. We had a fucking time of our lives.
It was the best.
Yeah.
You feel good. You're making some money. You get that $200 paycheck at the end of the 2 weeks, and you're like, I'm rolling out.
Yeah, bro. Taking trash out, hit a bowl.
Yep.
Fucking right.
Yep. Yeah, and then I went to Walmart, and that was it. That was the last job.
And that was, you were still super young?
Yeah, 17.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope, man. So you went to Blue, and so did your boss say, why don't you just stay here and operate out of my building?
It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever a conversation like...
Once Blue saw there's clientele,
it just got busier and busier, and we made more space, and, just did it. And so I just asked him, because I was, there all the time, and he was there. I was like...
He kind of owed you, too. Like, you got me.
Yeah. Will you teach me? And so he taught me. And, his knowledge was limited. We'll just say that, right?
Sure.
He taught me what he could, He taught me a lot of really cool things that I wouldn't have learned, I don't think, even in a traditional apprenticeship. Like, we didn't get many supplies from a tattoo supply company. We got pigment, we got needles from Scientific Supply, pins, entomology pins.
Yeah.
We didn't buy them from National or whatever. They came from outside of the tattoo industry.
Yeah.
We got ink caps at AutoZone. We made our own power supplies and clip cords. We sterilized in like a pressure cooker on a hot plate from Walmart.
If you ever go to prison, you're solid.
I'm saying, like, these days it's a rare skill set. Like, I've got the resources to be able to acquire most of what I need for tattooing without a tattoo supply company.
You're not an old guy, so there's old guys in this business that would look at you and say, you don't know shit about building needles, and you're gonna be like, wrong, motherfucker.
Yeah, I built them all.
Yeah.
We got the needle bars at Welding Supply, stainless steel welding bar.
Yeah.
Cut them, bend them, the whole thing. Made everything from scratch.
That's so much different than most people.
Yeah.
I mean, you said you're 43?
44.
44. I'm 47, and when I started hanging around Andrew Connor, him and Mark Bell, who's here this weekend, were building needles pretty regularly. But within 2 years of that, people were buying needles, just getting them. Companies here were getting them in bulk from China, and just everyone's using these needles. It's just like, it kind of just, so everyone, not everyone that learned from then on, but most everyone that learned from then on, just using prepackaged needles.
Yeah. Why
it's incredibly
convenient
for?
Yeah, super convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, when that shit became affordable, because it was available not long after that, but it was cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
It was like tattoos were $40. You know what I mean? So when you're spending $4 or $5 on a needle, it's like
no margin there.
Yeah, especially if you're splitting it with the shop or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't really make sense. So making them, they're still pennies on the dollar. You just got to put the effort in.
Correct.
But
then there's time involved too.
Yeah.
Which is a factor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. You don't hear that a lot. And not only that, but most people would get their needles through the National and everything through the traditional means. The fact that he sourced it through anywhere, just because that's probably how he figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the guy that taught him. I don't know. He told me some stuff about his lineage back then, but I didn't care enough at the time to really retain it.
Sure.
And I didn't work with them for a super long time, so.
Was he a good dude, just a biker guy, or?
Yeah, he was good. Good-hearted, sweet.
Good.
You know, he didn't give me a lot of boundaries when it came to learning, which, you know, can be good and bad.
Sure.
You know, he'd be like, yeah, I'd be like, can I do it like this? And he's like, sure, give it a shot, you know?
Did
Shit
you
like
tattoo
that.
yourself first or him? Or he tell you bring a buddy in?
Yeah, I just started tattooing my friends.
Yeah.
You know, being my hometown, I was big in the graffiti scene. Everyone knew that I did art and, you know, worked in the head shop. And
Then once you
know,
write their name graffiti, you do it on their leg.
yeah, all that stuff.
So how long did you
That's Wrath. He told me to tell you hi, by the way.
take off? You do
No. He was just letting me know that the raw power is live. Gotta get that ink.
You tattooing your homies, how long did that go on?
I stayed.
Did you work there? It's like a regular, I'm a guy who takes walk-ins here?
Yeah, for a little while, you know, but I quickly kind of realized like that I needed to get around people who knew more, you know, kind of broaden my horizons.
Were you seeing the type of tattoos that you wanted to aspire to do, or in magazines
No.
or anything, or you just kind of...
I didn't really know what I wanted to do, you know, because there wasn't very much structure in the way that I learned. It was really a free-for-all, you know.
So you weren't focusing on graffiti style tattoos? You were just doing anything that people asked for?
Yeah.
I mean,
Tribal.
It's kind of good at a young age. You don't want to be like, I'm just out of my apprenticeship and I only do, you know, stipple black and gray that's fucking, you know, $50 size. You don't want to do that because then you don't know shit about tattooing in the big picture. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that wasn't even really an option back then.
Of course, but
You know?
just as an example of like, you know, you see these motherfuckers who are like doing hand poke tattoos by appointment only, and that's what they fucking do.
I'd only been tattooing for a year.
Right. And you're like, oh, well, that's all you can do, motherfucker. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Because that or you got a day job and you're just doing it in your free time.
But it's no good to just be fresh out the gate and say, well, I do one thing.
Right.
You know, like the tattoo shop that I came up around before we opened Dally Cat was Ancient Art, Danny Fowler's shop. And I'm sure you're familiar with Danny and the Time Machine, all that shit. And he wanted, like, everything that came in, if it wasn't lettering or tribal, you did the whole tattoo in black and gray, but then you added color to it. And so in that case, everything looked like a fucking sticker.
Right.
It was a big wow factor for clients to see all these tattoos that sort of had depth to them, that had shading. Obviously, you weren't putting a ton of shading like behind the yellow or something, but you know, everything had like a little bit more to it than just a flat palette. And everyone tattooed that way, and there was no exceptions. Even the older guys, it's like they had one guy who only did black and gray. His name was Eddie Geary, and he was great. And he, matter of fact, he's a heart in the middle of my chest. And every great tattooer that ever sees me with a shirt off is like, who did that? It's just it's a piece of Jack Rudy flash, and I got it when I was fucking 19, and to this day, motherfuckers like, who did that?
Yeah.
He just had a knack for it. But everybody else there had to do this formula for tattooing, and it ended up sort of making a bunch of well-rounded tattooers. They understood more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that kind of standard, you know, and guidance and, you know, that kind of thing, I knew I was lacking, you know, and I wouldn't say it was a conscious thought, you know what I mean, but I was like, I need more from this, you know, I need to do more. This whole time I've still been blowing glass, right? Tattoo business wasn't so big that I could just do it.
Sure.
You know, it was like tattoo, and when there wasn't any tattoos to do, I could pop into the glass blowing studio and make pipes and, you know, keep working and make money that way.
Did you have a preferred method of making money?
You know, they both have their benefits and their drawbacks. Yeah. You know, at the time, it's like glass is individual. You know, like do whatever you want. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's no constraint. There's no client to please. You know, and back then there wasn't a ton of real custom, you know, artistically motivating work to do. You know, people came in, they picked stuff off the wall. It was fun. You know what I mean? And when I got a chance to draw something myself, I was excited to do it. Yeah. You know, but with glass, it's like you could do it any time of the day. You know, you don't need anyone to show up or be there. You know what I mean?
And if you make something you think is ill, there's a good chance someone else will be like, oh shit, and they'll pay the fucking $80 as opposed to the $35 piece that's pretty plain.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, that kind of back and forth with glass and tattooing carried on for a long time. I moved to Dallas, you know, to try to find more, right? In every way, really. You know, I mean, I wanted a bigger city. You You know, bigger city to paint graffiti in.
Right.
You know, bigger city to do more tattoos in, meet people, all the shit.
All that stuff.
You know, Las Cruces is great, but there's not a ton going on there.
Right.
You know, it's really mellow and low key. People, people have a bunch of kids and get a regular job and stay there, and their family just does that forever, which is great. Tons of Mexican.
The best.
The best Mexican food.
Yeah.
Oh shit! And that just wasn't for me. I wanted to go on and do bigger things or whatever.
Did you show up in Dallas with an innocent dream and heart of gold and say, "How the fuck am I gonna find a tattoo shop with a glass blower studio next door?" How's that work?
So I had been going there to paint graffiti. I traveled.
How far was it?
It's about 10 hours, 10 and a half hours from Las Cruces to Dallas. No, I drove.
You been driving?
Yeah, I would drive. I got a car that was reliable enough, and I was like, I'm doing it. Let's go. So I started road tripping to Dallas.
That's a serious road trip.
To paint.
Did you do it straight there usually?
Yeah.
You're an animal.
Yeah. Well, when you're
When you're young, you don't give a fuck. I've always hated driving. Always hated driving.
Yeah. I like road tripping by myself. It's cathartic, clears my head. Sure. Gives me a chance to just think or listen to music and zone out and whatever, And just the feeling of freedom at that age to be like, I'm out. I'm going to go be away from all the structure and, constraints that I put upon myself or were put upon me, and you just leave it behind and that.
You're a hippie at heart. So you're a hippie with a haircut. Is what you are.
If I had hair to cut.
But no, I get it. Sometimes when you're, this guy taught you how to blow glass and this guy taught you how to tattoo, so you have to kind of be within the parameters of what they expect of you.
Yeah.
As a young man, I understand the desire to be like, I want to step outside of any expectation except my own.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're going there, you're painting, you're meeting graffiti people?
Yeah, graffiti people. And so what I would do is I'd make a case of glass, go to Dallas, go around all the head shops, hustle it off, pay for the trip, paint some graffiti, hang out with some friends. You make a lot of friends through graffiti. It's like just like tattooers.
See, I think of it as territorial. Like they might not want you there.
Yeah.
Is that a thing or no?
Not within a crew, right? It's like having friends at a shop.
Right.
You're always welcome at the shop. You can go there. But then if you're associated with that shop, the other shop might not like you.
So you meet somebody that's in a crew and they introduce you to their friends and so on.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah. So when I moved to Dallas, I just got a glass blowing studio in my neighborhood, and I did that for money, and then I just tattooed out of the apartment. Clients with the graffiti guys and stuff like that, and after a while kind of start catching the good and bad attention of the tattooers in town. They're like, oh, that kid's tattooing out of his apartment, that's bullshit, which I understand, but I was just making it work.
I tell young kids, I'm like, don't be doing that shit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they don't give a fuck what I say.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would never do, and I don't think any fucking decent person should do, is call the cops on any of these kids.
No.
That are scratching or whatever. Because if they never have any guidance and they don't have any health standards, something's gonna catch up to them anyway.
Right.
But I just don't believe in calling the cops for any good reason.
Yeah.
There is no good reason.
Absolutely not. Don't call the cops unless you absolutely have to. It's just.
If somebody shoots your neighbor, call the cops. Short of that, fucking mind your own business.
Goddamn right. But I felt like, to that point, I felt like I had enough training. Blue is super clean. That was one of his big things. You know what I mean? We never reused anything. Even the rubber bands on the machine.
See, the first couple times Andy tattooed me, he had a fucking, like a rack of test tubes with fucking needles in the bottom. There'd be a piece of cotton with witch hazel.
Right.
And they'd use them. They said they didn't even work good until they were 5 or 6 tattoos old.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Blue was not like that. You could keep the needle for the same client.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you take it out of the tube, clean it. We would even sterilize it in the pressure cooker, and you put it in a pouch and put someone's name on it. If it's not done, or they're going to come back, then you have their needle. You don't have to make a new one. You know what I mean? But we didn't. He was very strict about hygiene. Yeah. So I was tattooing on my apartment, and no, the tattoos weren't good.
Were you getting tattooed by other folks in Dallas yet?
No, not really. I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
I was just getting by. I just wanted to be a hood rat. Do hood rat shit with my friends. That was the whole point. You know what I mean? It was just run around, do what I got to do to make the money I need to survive, paint graffiti, have fun. That was it at the time. You know, I didn't have any aspirations. I was just moving through it one day at a time as it presented itself to me. You know,
And how long did you do that?
it's a few years.
It just, like I said, we know each other, we don't know each other. That doesn't seem like your nature.
Right.
You seem focused. You seem like you have. I mean, maybe you've changed a ton. Like I said, I've changed a ton since I was 18. But to hear you describe that, it's like, it's just wanting to fuck off. It doesn't seem like it goes, because like the type of tattooing that you do requires a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's the impression I have of you. And that doesn't coincide with that.
I've always had a super good work ethic.
Yeah.
But at the age and with the resources available to you, there's only so far you can go with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I worked hard, but still wasn't making a lot of money. You know what I mean? And
Nobody's showing you shit.
Yeah.
You gotta be around inspiration.
Yeah, there was nobody being like, you're not doing this right, or you're not working hard enough, or you need to change. You know, that I didn't have any of that. I was just
Watching someone do a tattoo can change the game for you.
100%.
You know, they might even have to watch you and tell you you're doing something wrong. You might watch them and a light goes off. And you're like, oh fuck, why not? You know, what am I doing? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super important. I always, you know, I have a lot of friends who tattoo privately. And I'm always like, man, are you getting inspired? Are you getting the right juice? You know?
Yeah.
I worry about them.
Yeah, same. I've considered private studio quite a bit, you know, but just because of the nature of the work, and you know, it's nice when it's mellow and stuff. You know, the shop where I work's, it's busy. There's a lot going on all the time.
Yeah.
You know. But then
Are you able to have something adjacent to it that just serve your clients or not?
I guess I could figure that out.
Yeah.
But when I'm in the shop by myself, you know, if everyone's in the back room fucking off, no one else is tattooing, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, this is not that fun. I mean, I love tattooing and I always have a good time with my clients, but the shop environment is huge for me.
Yeah. Like, I always reference Andrew because he's just a good example in a lot of ways, but, you know, he kind of does his own thing in the middle of a super busy street shop.
Yeah.
And that's probably what you do the same thing as well. Like, he just, you know, he structures his day and structures his week and his month and his year and all that to however he's feeling, what he wants to do.
Yep.
But his station is right next to all the guys that are taking walk-ins and all the guys that are heavy appointments. And he wants that around him. He wants to see that, smell that, feel that.
Yep.
But do things at his pace. And sometimes there's a fucking overlap, you know what I mean? Do you need a drink?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do another one.
Sometimes there's an overlap. Someone sees his shit and they're blown away and they want like, well, I really want him to do my 100-move chandelier. And that's not his thing.
Yeah.
But he'll be like, whatever. You know, he'll do it from time to time.
Yeah, I love that. I was just talking to somebody about it last night, about like, you know, my work's primarily large-scale Japanese inspired, you know, and I love that. It's what I've worked towards accomplishing for a long time.
Yeah.
But I have generational clients. You know, I have people bring their kids in for their first tattoo. I have people bring
Andrew
their
did a granddaughter.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He's got his 30 years too.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we first moved to Harrisburg, he tattooed the lady. 4 or 5 years later, her daughter was 18. She got tattooed. And now her daughter just turned 18 and been tattooed 2 or 3 times.
So when I do get the opportunity to do that stuff, I'm always pumped about it. You know?
If you don't mind, I'm bouncing a little bit.
Yeah.
We can go back to the timeline in a minute, but how long have you been predominantly doing large-scale Japanese?
I'd say 2018 is when it kind of tipped.
Yeah.
You know, and there was still some, there's still some other stuff in there. 2018 to 2019 is when it really kind of solidified into exclusively that.
How difficult is that to maintain? Like, how do you? I talked to Chris Welk about this a bunch. How do you cultivate clients that? Because ideally for you, correct me if I'm wrong, you want your guy to walk in no tattoos.
Yeah, of course, that's
and
the dream.
You want him to get a suit.
Right.
That's the goal. That's how you achieve the most out of what fuels you and what you want to do to serve tattooing the most. That's your calling, is Japanese large scale. So ideally is a no cover-up suit. Is that correct?
Yes.
How do you find that guy?
They find you.
They find you.
Yeah.
They find you for a suit, or they find you and they want a sleeve.
It happens in different ways.
Because Chris was like, Chris was like, did you listen to his episode?
Yeah.
Man, he's a sharp kid.
Yeah, he is.
I like that dude a
Yeah,
lot.
Chris is great.
And he's a great tattooer.
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much from that episode. And the first thing he said was like, I love traditional American tattoos, but I couldn't really do them that well. So that's how I define the style of Japanese I would do, because they're heavy.
Right.
I just thought that was brilliant. I don't know why I didn't see that prior.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, if someone comes in and is interested in a half sleeve, I immediately start talking to them about the full sleeve aesthetic. And if they come in talking about a full sleeve, I immediately bring up the full sleeve chest panel aesthetic.
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So you serve their request, but say you're constantly reminding them, if I were to bring it to here.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Expand on that if you don't mind.
So, to answer your question, how do you find the person and they find you? They come in with their idea, whatever it may be, size, placement, and stuff like that. And every consultation, I'm like, tell me what you want. And it just naturally evolves into, well, what do you think about doing on your other arm? What are your plans for the future? Because...
But how often do you get, I hadn't considered that, or I not even think.
Most of the time.
Really?
Yeah, most of the time.
I find this fascinating that
that
person may end up with a suit.
Yeah.
I love it.
It evolves, I've only had one person come in and say, I want to get a suit. Out of the gate. That was the whole goal.
Sure. Are you just giddy?
Yeah.
Like being so excited, right?
So excited.
Did he or she? Did he have I want a Fudo back, I want a dragon front, or he just said, I want a Japanese suit, what do you think?
Yeah, he was just like, I want to get a suit and you can do whatever you want.
What'd you do?
Well, he disappeared.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So when people don't know what they want, and they like say, I want it back, my first go-to is like the, guardian deities. Like, what year were you born?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a good deity on the back is always a great place to start. It's powerful. It's in alignment with when you were born.
Yeah.
It's part of who you are.
Yeah.
Right. So, I show them some images of that. What do you think about this? This is, your guardian, or your. I'm drawing a blank for the word. Anyway.
Or some sort of like...
Right, and then all those images have animals associated with them, flowers, ancillary imagery that can break off into all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I did that with him, and he was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And it was like Manju Bosatsu, so it's like, a deity on an elephant holding a lotus, and a sword.
Yeah.
And then Bodhisattva is all about the Lotus Sutra. Mm-hmm. So I was like, we'll just do water and lotuses on the whole rest of your body. Right?
Yeah.
So fucking excited.
Yeah.
And he was into it, and he had a good job, time, and whatever. So we outlined his back, one of his legs, one of his arms, and then I never saw him again.
Damn, that's rough.
Yeah.
But the prospect's exciting. Even going through the process, you probably learned something.
100%.
And and I'm sitting here listening to you talk, and I light bulb went off in my head. And I went, I know how to sell tattoos. I've sold 1,000 fucking tattoos to people. It's the same thing. It's just a different sales pitch.
Right.
It's the same thing. You're selling them a tattoo, just like I've sold a girl who wanted something for her grandma, a rolling pin or a frying pan instead of a fucking tombstone looking thing, or just a flower.
Yeah.
That's dope, man.
Yeah. Same thing, larger scale. Got to have a little bit more of a mind for the future, especially when they only want a sleeve. I always have the conversation with them about, I'm always planning for this to expand, so it needs to be executed in this way. And I explain to them the choices that they're making and how that will dictate future tattoos should they choose to get more.
Yeah.
I always, leave it in their court. It's like, if
you're implying.
Yeah, if you want cherry blossoms on this arm, and should you want to get your other arm tattooed later, I'm going to want to put cherry blossoms on that arm because, if you get the other arm, there's a high probability you're going to want to get more.
Yeah.
And if you're going to end up moving towards a whole bodysuit, not saying that you do, but if you do,
if we get there,
it should be cohesive for these reasons.
Yeah.
And I explained to them all the reasons, seasons and this and that.
So, explain to me how you got from tattooing out of your house in Dallas to even knowing, if I tell you I'm born in 1978, you're going to tell me whatever my deity is.
Right.
That's a long way. That takes a ton of work. That takes a massive amount of studying.
Mm-hmm.
That is sacrificing personal relationships, friends, family, girl, all that stuff to get to that.
Right.
Let's talk about how you got there, if you don't mind. I'm very much excited to have this conversation because so many people that I talk to are just doing anything that comes in the door, plus, knocking out big stuff when it comes. But your trajectory has gotten you to where big is the fucking game.
Right.
And I just love it. It's just different. Most people, I've had people on that do it. Like we had Chris Magnotti on, and as you know, amazing stories,
Dude.
Amazing guy. He's so sweet. I saw him yesterday and he's lit up. Same thing today. But, how he got here is more of a tale of life than tattooing. So when you guys finished, I don't know if you recall me saying, next time I just want to talk about your point of view of Japanese tattooing. And he went, that's 5 podcasts. And I'm like, that's fine. We can do a series. But so that's kind of, what I'm interested in from you.
Okay, so I worked at a few different street shops in Dallas, working my way up the ranks of Dallas tattooers, working until fucking 5 o'clock in the morning, dealing with drunk people and all kinds of crazy shit.
But you got some stories and life experience.
Oh, it was amazing. I loved it. I loved every second of it. Even the stuff I hated at the time, I look back on it, just like, oh, that's so great. And I end up at Elm Street Tattoo. And Elm Street is owned by 2 guys, Oliver Peck and Dean Williams. And Dean was incredible. He passed away a couple years ago. But he was one of those guys that was genuinely excellent at everything that he did. Traditional, portraits, black and gray, lettering, Japanese, whatever. Just killed it. Quiet. No one really knew who he was. He was just in the shop crushing.
Silent killer, Andrew Connor.
Yeah, dude, just like that. So my first day at Elm Street, I walk in with my box to set my stuff up and whatever. He's like, Dean's just like, hey, come help me shave this guy's ass.
Rookie. Come on, rookie.
Yeah, straight up. And he was starting a back piece on another tattooer, this guy Alex Trufant.
No, Alex.
Good dude. And it was Dragon and the Tiger, so I helped shave Alex's ass. Never met him before. I'm like, this is awkward as fuck.
There's probably only 2 dudes that have ever shaved that man's ass, and you're one of them.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I watched Dean lay out this giant tattoo and start tattooing it, and I was just like, I was blown away. It's very Horiyoshi style, Horiyoshi 3 style, as the times dictated. That was most of what Japanese tattoo in the States looked like.
Which is ill shit.
Yeah. But Dean could do it. A lot of people try, but Dean was really doing it,
Yeah.
And then all the other guys that worked there were going to Austin, which is only a few hours away, and getting tattooed by Jason Brooks and Chris Trevino.
Big dog.
You know what I mean? So I was starting to see
tons of large stuff.
Tons of large, amazing, imaginative, well done, well laid out tattoos, and I was just so taken with it. I was just like,
yeah, Brooks and Trevino got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Kind of.
Yeah.
I don't want to say corner, but they got it, right?
Yeah. Jason is one of the biggest influences on me.
Incredible.
Period.
Yeah.
In every way. His personality, his functionality. He was the first guy that had the stencil made on the table when you walk in the door that I saw. You know,
and that's that speaks to work ethic. That speaks to his desire to get to work.
Yeah.
That speaks to his desire to efficiency. And I don't want to say the wrong thing because I respect everybody, and I have friends who do this, but I don't think it's dope for you to start drawing when your client walks in.
agreed.
I just don't think it's dope. I'm not trying to. If you think I'm talking about you, I'm not. But if it's a fucking shoe fist, dog, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just don't think that's dope. I don't dig it.
Well, you gotta respect people's time.
Yeah.
You want people to show up for their appointment on time. Well, you should be showing up for the appointment on time too.
But what about your process? Like, shouldn't you be getting on with it so that you can get on with the next one? Isn't your goal elevation? Isn't
Yes.
your goal for this sleeve to be better than that sleeve that you finished? Like, that speaks to me. That means Jason Brooks wants after it.
Yeah.
That he doesn't just want to do this tattoo. He wants to do the next tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that means to me.
Right.
And I love that.
That's a great observation because you're absolutely right. And yeah, so that whole period really kicked it off for me. I started seeing what tattoos could be. I didn't even really understand it until I was around it enough to like really be impressed.
Yeah.
Japanese tattooing, to that point, it's just like you see some in magazine, whatever.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know. Like, what age, what year do you think this is, roughly?
2006.
Okay. So, like, in 1997, I walked in Ancient Art and I go, I'd seen a Horiyoshi spread and I said, I want a tiger crane sleeve. I want a tiger on its back, crane flying down.
Right.
And they were like, we can't do that. We don't know anybody can do that.
Right.
And they didn't say Chris O'Donnell's in Richmond.
Of course.
They said,
That's not what you did then.
They said, would you like to get this new school dagger and fucking instead? Because I can do that and then we'll go party. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it just was, at the time, it was hard to find that.
Right. So I started seeing it and being into it, but the understanding of what it took to get there was beyond me.
Sure.
I was young and, rowdy and, doing smaller tattoos and walk-ins and stuff suited where I was in life at the time, I think, better. Just do 1 or 2 sessions, most, out the door, getting on with it. And I see these tattoos and it's like, I'm super amazed. And of course, I aspire to do that, but, how? There's no reference available.
No.
And even then,
Elm
like,
Street's heavily a street shop.
yeah.
Not, even if Dean's capable, he's probably not doing exclusively big jabs. So.
No.
Yeah.
He did everything.
Yeah.
Portraits, like I said.
But you didn't have an example in the room, is what I'm trying. Even though he
No.
could do it, you didn't have someone whose career was dedicated to it.
Doing only
that
that.
you could learn from.
Right. Yeah. But that was, that was when I got, the light bulb went off.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
Did you start getting tattooed by Brooks and Trevino and those fellas, or were you
A couple
starting to
years
get
later.
tattooed more?
A couple years later.
Yeah.
Up to that point and past that, it was really just get tattooed by the homies.
Yeah.
Because I love them and, we're in it together and it's
I
just
have
what
a
you
lot
did.
of tattoos around here.
Yeah. And it's like most of my tattoos, I only have one cohesive sleeve, and my back,
Yeah.
which is not Japanese really at all. But I didn't get it. I didn't have the money or the dedication, or it hadn't quite clicked for me to just.
My desire to get tattooed, was greater than my desire to get tattooed correctly. Like I said, I walked in the door wanting to get a sleeve that was cohesive. I thought having scalloped clouds on my wrist or something like that was just so uniform and tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I just imagined, this crane swooping down with a tiger on his back and the feather coming across my shoulder. But if nobody could do it, and I was just like, well, I want to get caught. I want to do it. They're like, this is shit we do want to do.
Yeah.
I wanted to get a girl from Joe Capabianca, and Andy was like, I can do a Joe Capabianca girl on you.
Nailed it.
And I was like, make sure her titties bounce, and you got a fucking deal. You know what I mean? And that was my homie. I tell people all the time, like, Andrew's 30 years in the game. I met him when I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
So, if anything I imagined, he would just be like, and he could do it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'll do that for you. You want black Jesus head? No problem. I got you. I'm your guy.
So you're like, cool.
So you get tattooed by the homies, and then, when I met Timothy, I was like, wow, wait a minute. And so I knew I wanted a real back piece, and I knew that this motherfucker embodied real tattooing, and he was, I wanted something that you could look at. I wasn't into gory shit. I wanted Japanese, but I wanted something that was very tasteful. Mm-hmm. And so, he did end up doing a crane and some turtles on me. But I knew that this is the guy when I met him. But prior to that, it's just homies tattooing me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it went. And, specializing still wasn't a thing. Trevino was really the only person I could call to mind at the time that I was aware of anyway that it did exclusively one style. Even the big dogs in Elm Street did it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is
of the times,
Yeah, which is a great example too, because they're like, no judgment, this is the tat, fucking make it good.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you expect from a street shop, and that's what a street shop should be. Mm-hmm. If you can, if you have the privilege to define after having done that, if you say, okay, well, Japanese or Cholo style black and gray, like suits, big stuff, a lot of coverage, that's the direction I want to take, and you can form a clientele, then that's great. But having already done everything that walks in the door is an accomplishment. And you know better than me, it will apply to big suits. You will learn as you go that you can apply old tricks.
Most definitely.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so that started it, but I don't think I really clicked into what was required of me until, this is much later, skipping ahead. We opened Dedication Tattoo with a couple other guys. There was 4 of us. We all went in on it together. And then as that started to progress and we started hiring people, and
just because of the success of the shop, you needed people to overflow.
Yeah.
From the 4 of you.
It's just growing naturally. And then I realized that I needed to lead by example.
Yeah.
And so, and I had gotten to a point in my work where I started to feel good about it, and I wanted to work more.
Yeah.
It's like, it's when you're trying to create something and you can't get there, it's really frustrating and discouraging.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So when you get to a point where you're breaking through a little bit and you can see the light on the other side, it's exciting. You know what I mean? You want to work harder, you want to work more, you want to explore those ideas, and because they build on each other and it snowballs, and you just keep going. Simultaneously, I've got other people who are now working. I hate to say they work for me, they work with me, but
I do my best to do that as well, but
the
reality is what it is. They don't know it.
And the whole ethos and impetus for starting the shop was that we were tired of working for people who didn't love tattooing and didn't want to be there and didn't want to lead the pack. They were just like, cool, I own the shop, like, see you later.
Yeah. Make me some money, I'm going to fuck off.
Done with that, so when we opened, we all sat down and agreed that's like, if you're going to work here, you're going to work here.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to get other people that work there, and I want to see them elevate. I want to see them get better. I want to see them go further.
As a collective, as a pack of people that are progressing.
Right. And I think the best way to do that is to show them, not tell them how to do it.
Yes.
Right?
In other words, go out there and kill it.
Yeah.
And they will see you and they'll catch fire.
Yeah. Set the bar as high as you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fucking dope, man.
Run at the front of the pack and, try to catch me, motherfucker. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so at that point, there was another light bulb moment where I was like, oh, okay. And I'm capable. You know what I mean? I can. Like, I've got enough knowledge and, skills, and my drawing abilities are, getting better, and my tattooing technical abilities improving. And
what year did y'all open Dedication?
2013.
2013. And at what point did you take on this new headspace?
I'd say 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is when it really set in, and I was like, all right.
So you're saying not only do I not want to be a part of that other way, but I actually want to spearhead a direction that's, progressive.
Right. Yeah. And that continues. It's.
Are all 4 guys still involved?
No, there's only 2 of us now.
Yeah.
Originally, it was me, Brian Thoreau, Jason Boatman, and Andy Canino. And Jason and his wife had a baby. They're from Arkansas. Then they had some savings, which in Denver wasn't super meaningful.
Yeah.
But they could go back to Arkansas and, really build on it.
Sure.
So their families are there. They went back. And then Andy was a Colorado local. He'd lived in Denver his whole life. And it was time for him to move on to something new. So he moved to Salt Lake, And so it's just Brian Thoreau and I that own the shop now. Yeah.
Man, are you a comedy fan?
So.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's not something I follow a lot.
Yeah. There's a new, you know who Big J Okerson is? Big J's new stuff is 2 specials that he shot in Denver at a very small club. This is a racist joke, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just fucking.
It's a joke.
It's just silly.
Yeah.
He starts talking to a black dude and he asks what's the percentage of black people in Denver, and the guy's like 0.3% or something like that.
Yeah, it's low.
And he's like, real estate here must be amazing. It's terrible, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, what is the real estate market like here? Anyway, I thought it was funny.
It is.
So, again, tell me about, unless you want to just keep talking about your shop and where you're at, but, did you take on the challenge of learning and moving in the direction of Japanese tattoos alone, or did you have someone mentor you, or a group of fellas, or were those guys at Dedication in the same vein as you and pushing you? Like, I want to know, again, how you got to the point of, if a client comes to me, I can tell them a story.
Right.
Because the reason I say that is because when my wife wanted her back tattoo, you probably heard me talk about this before, but she went to Brian Bruno, and he's like started telling her story. She said, I want a rooster.
Right.
And so then he just starts talking to her about that image and its place in Japanese block prints. And then he talked about this one particular emperor who was at peace for so long that the war drums at the gates of the empire had birds roosting on them because they weren't of any use because there was peace for so long. And so he was like, I want to put your rooster on a drum.
Yeah.
And I just found it fascinating that he was aware of this folklore from Japan.
Right.
And so you have some, like, how do you get there? How do you grow your library? Is it travel? Is it all the above?
It's all of the above. I had a moment before we opened Dedication. We worked at this shop called Think Tank in Denver, and Think Tank would have art shows. It was like a gallery kind of thing too. So periodically they'd have stuff, and we had a group show one time, and a guy who I can't remember his name did this painting, and I had just so happened to buy a book that was called like Japanese Fairy Tales or something like that. A little paperback. I was trying to gain some knowledge.
And that's an approachable.
Right, exactly. Just bought it at Barnes and Noble or something.
Yeah.
Not hard to find. I was like, oh, look at that.
Oh, that's great, yeah.
Yeah. So I had been reading it, and I read this story, and I recognized that the painting was about the story. And I was standing there having a conversation, and somebody came up and commented on content of the painting, and I was able to contribute the whole story. By the time I was done telling the story, there was like a crowd of people around me listening, to me explaining this painting that I didn't do,
right.
And in that moment, it kind of clicked for me that, like, if I have the knowledge that backs the subject matter, it'll help to sell it. You know what I mean? And help deepen my understanding and my affinity for it and my appreciation for everything, you know?
I love that.
So from that point forward, I was kind of started collecting more books that had English translations, of art reference, right? Whether it was more fairy tales or, you know, finding books that had woodblock prints that had an explanation of what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, the availability of reference still wasn't what it is now.
Sure.
You know, this is like 2010 or 2011 maybe, you know what I mean? So you got some stuff, but people still guarded it.
It's not readily available, and if you go to a Japanese bookstore in San Francisco, you have to know what the fucking look for.
Right, it's none of it's in English.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And so even if someone takes you over to the book, and that book might be fucking $2,000, and you're like, oh, it's all in Japanese, what am I gonna do?
Yeah. But, you know, same, I would do that, and that was when I started investing as much money as I could in the books that I would have available. You know, when I go to New York, there's New York, San Francisco, there's specific bookstores where they had like a tattoo section. Yeah. You know, you can go look and dig through them and find shit.
About that stuff, Will Ollie?
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating.
It really is. He is. I actually have a couple books that I bought from Will.
Oh, yeah.
He was like unloading things that I'd always wanted, and he puts up on Instagram. I'm like,
yeah. There's times where I wanted to buy someone a book as a gift, and I just call Will.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll tell him in person. He'll be like, I got the book, you know, immediately.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
He'll be here tomorrow. Shouts to Will.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing him. So yeah, I started reading and stuff, but a lot of it doesn't actualize in my memory until I put it into use.
Right.
You know? And during that time, I'm still living life and doing other kinds of tattooing, and so the focus is scattered, and I'm only retaining parts of it.
It might be what you want, but you still have bills to pay, and you still have a clientele that's asking for whatever they're asking. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so working in that direction, it just takes time. Yeah. And years of acquiring the knowledge, acquiring the books, doing the drawings, doing the tattoos when you have opportunity, trying your best to, sell it. And as I started getting to do more and more Japanese stuff, something I never thought I would ever say, but it was like, all right, how do I get someone to get something other than a dragon or a koi fish? And I love doing them, you know what I mean? But at some point you're just like, all right, there's more to this. Yeah. So then I started trying to remember it, reading it more.
Those images, well, at least the koi fish comes off as safe.
Yeah.
Someone who maybe wouldn't think of themselves as getting heavily tattooed could think of themselves with a koi sleeve and say, well, there's a classicness to this. That's,
Yeah.
It's not always, demons and shit don't always fucking sell.
They don't.
Unless it's a tattooer and you're filling a spot for them that they want some screaming crazy shit.
Yeah.
Which, I know not all Japanese tattoos are that, but I'm sure when you get to do that, it's pretty fucking fun.
It's so fun.
You can do a ghost, or you can do
Nothing better than a hard ass back piece you can see from across the street.
Yeah, dog.
Can't beat it.
So again, you at no point did you have like a senior tattooer around you that was doing the stuff you wanted?
Nope.
And so did you start traveling, conventions, meeting like-minded people? I'm not saying you can't do it on your own, but I feel like you have to at some point have someone to turn lights on for you, to give you some clues as to like things you need to know when drawing a dragon or whatever it may be.
Yeah. It's definitely just a collection of experiences with a lot of different people.
Yeah. Because like Magnati, for instance, that's your pal.
Right.
I'm sure you pick his brain. Like, do you ever hit him up when you're about to do a drawing?
100%. Yeah, we trade drawings and sketches and pictures of tattoos all the time.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, coming here, traveling to New York, San Francisco, being around, trying to do my best to be around people that are better than me, people that I haven't worked with for a long time, anything that, inspires me. Yeah. I started to do guest spots at New York Adorned in like 2011, I think, and that was a big one.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Who was the regular there then?
It was kind of like in a little bit of a transition period. So Yoni was there.
It was always
yeah. Shinji, Brad Stevens, Bart Bingham. Wow. And then they had people come in and do like one day a week. Like Robert Ryan would be there randomly.
Yeah.
Brian Kaneko, who his Instagram's True Nature Tattoo. But I'd come up here and then I'd hang out at Invisible. You know, be around those guys. See Kiku and RG and Troy doing huge shit. Garber was at Invisible at the time.
Speaking of Senji, my buddy just sent me this thing.
Yes.
You can swipe either way. There's a couple.
Fuck, dude.
It's wild. For you folks listening, I was lucky enough for someone to send me a Shinji back piece that in progress but very close to being finished, and it's fucking bananas. There's a ton of black forward-facing dragon.
Yeah, that's incredible. Love that. Just band of fire. Yeah, the best. The best.
Man, you know, I don't know if it's him or not, but there's a girl downstairs who has a water sleeve. Have you seen this? It's like finger waves at the shoulder and then just hard black with like a thin line of her skin tone, and she's very fair skin. Waves across here, and then finger waves again at her elbow, and then just heavy long waves, and then a little bit of finger waves at her wrist.
Right. I haven't seen it, but I'm gonna look out for it. Yeah.
I don't know if it's Shinji, but it screams Shinji.
Yeah.
It's bananas. Adam Martin's getting a cover-up sleeve from him right now, and it's bananas. It's very similar to what I'm describing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. He's a master.
Oh, right.
He's fucking Shinji. Also, one of the people who's one of the most influential people on my tattooing, and not just from an aesthetic point of view, but kind of a philosophical point of view, from a working practice.
Yeah.
You know, he was the one who told me, 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Discipline and consistency.
And that's difficult to ask of your client, though. No. I mean, some people are more enthusiastic. They want to get, tattooing more, but once they start getting into the groove of coming in regularly and doing shorter sessions, they get it. Is it weekly? Is it?
Every 2 weeks is the closest I'll put them together. But I tell my clients, like,
You make exceptions if someone says, "Look, man, I'm just busy. I gotta get 6 hours at a time." Do you do it?
I do, yeah. I make exceptions once they're proven that they can do it.
They can sit for it, heal it, the whole night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect it.
Yeah, I don't just let people book full days if I've never tattooed them before. I will book a full day for like a back piece outline, but not because I'm trying to tattoo them for 6 hours, but just because I want to have the time and the space to lay the stencil and correct it, and you know what I mean.
What was it? How long does it typically take you to lay out a back or a front?
So I do it all in sections. You know what I mean?
So if someone's getting a dragon, you're going to do the head and the basic shape, and then you'll come back and build on that? Or
I'll stencil everything, the scales and everything coming off of the head to a breaking point. Whether there's fire coming across
or
it.
you can just pick it up later.
Exactly. You just pick it up later.
Yeah.
And, then once I'm in the groove and they've been tattooed a few times and they sit super well and they heal well, and they're like, yeah, I want to do more, then I'll let them book full day. Or if they're traveling, people that travel from a long distance, I'll give them the full day. And if they don't sit, then it's okay.
But it makes your work day or work week a little more variety, right? Like, how many 2-hour sessions will you do in a day? 2 clients?
2, yeah.
2 2-hour sessions every day?
Yeah.
5 days a week usually?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then once your outlines are done, you're probably jamming for those 2 hours, huh?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's the idea. You know what I mean? Make it manageable. So you get 2 hours of tattooing, even if it's in a painful spot, you can go about your day. You know what I mean? You can. That's done.
Yeah.
I can move on. You're not wiped. Whatever.
Yeah.
Tattoo someone for 6 hours and like they're smoked. You know what I mean?
Too.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
That's laborious. That's the thing that's not easy for you to just do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that you tattooed that way. That's dope.
Yeah, and that comes from Shinji.
Yeah.
Break it up. Take your time. It's not.
So many great tattooers are in all of his.
Bro.
Like, how do you get next to him?
So it just happened that he was at Adorned and I started going there.
Oh, okay. So he was just a guy in the room, and you befriended him as a fellow tattooer, and he was pretty open and with information. I know he doesn't speak perfect English.
I never really even asked him too much. you know,
more observe what he did.
yeah, and it would just
A
kind
little question
of,
here
it
and
would
there.
come up in, you know, conversation or
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was digging at him to help me learn anything. Just who he is.
Taking advantage of actually observing him tattoo.
Right.
Was probably a big part of it. Right?
Yeah.
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 Man, I did a podcast with the guys at Electric,
Mm-hmm.
and Tom Yak describes getting his head done by Shinji. And if you haven't heard that, it's pretty cool. Tom Yak's
I listened to it, but it's been a while, so I don't remember.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Tom Yak shit's cool, man. You follow this? I mean, you can't see it. It's
Yeah.
nothing. Talk about a motherfucker. When I went to Electric, I walked by and just overheard a conversation that I wasn't privy to of him telling the shop person to never use the hashtag Tom Yak and to stop telling people about it. Because, you know, it's like how people see grass tattoos.
right.
It's hashtag grass.
Yeah.
That started to grow for Tom Yak, and I just remember overhearing him go, no, we don't want to, no, don't do that.
No, I love that. I love
It's
it.
pretty gangster.
Yeah.
But he was great. He was fucking great. And, you know, an interesting guy.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only met Tom and hung out with him once. He only took me down to Asbury Park and took me to a couple shops. You
Yeah.
know, went to Electric and hung out with those guys for a while.
I love that shot. Man, can you believe you're walking out of Electric, Coleman?
Holy shit.
The Jesus is
Dude.
by the door.
The whole collection
The
in
whole
there
collection's
is mind blowing. But yeah, all the Coleman stuff, of course, like.
But the Jesus head is in there.
Mhm.
It's so crazy. Shouts to Swagger and all those guys. Tom Yak, you know, he didn't really, I didn't think him or Robert, this is no offense to those guys, I respect those guys, but I don't think either one of them really wanted to do the podcast. But Swagger's always been super enthusiastic and just so kind to me. He's so knowledgeable. I always tell people I don't know anybody who loves tattoos more than Mike Swagger.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so he set it up to where they'd be there, and a couple other guys were shopping. Everyone was cool, but I don't really get the feeling they wanted to be there. And so I had talked to Schweiger, and he kind of referenced something about Robert, and I asked Robert a couple questions. And then I just turned to Tom and asked him, you know, like, what his first memory of seeing a tattoo was, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he tells this thing, just, you know, he acts like like so many smart people, eccentric people, that he doesn't have anything to offer, you know, they like sort of downplay.
Right.
And he tells the story of hanging out in an arcade, and this tough kid comes at the fucking door, and he's got his sleeve rolled up with a pinup head on his arm, and he's like a young kid. He said he was like 12, and this kid was maybe 16 or 17. And he's like, wow, who's that on your arm? And the kid goes, your mother. And the whole fucking room burst with laughter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't really have any stories. Then he tells a story about his uncle being on the run from the law and tattooing out of his house while he was a child. And I'm like, you don't have stories? That's fucking amazing. But anyway, so throughout the day, I just like was looking at his hand painted stuff on the walls and the originals of his stuff. And I saw this like, you know, 2 peonies and a butterfly, and it was just incredible. And Schreiber was like, ask him who I sell to you. And I asked him, he was like, oh no, that's not. He's like, but he goes, you know what, Nick, you're a good man. And he takes me over and gives me a bunch of these huge prints. And it was very fucking nice. And I asked him if he had anything else for sale or whatever. And I was like, yeah, man, if you ever consider selling that, he was just like, yeah, you know, and just kind of, you know, just wasn't interested, which is fine. So then I saw him like, I don't know, man, a year later at Kings Avenue. I was up there for a book release, and he came in with Schweiger, and I walked up to him and I was like, hey man, I'm Nick, we met there. And he's like, yeah, I remember you. And I was like, so I know you're not interested in selling that painting. Would you be interested in maybe doing a commission for a painting? And he went, nah, and just walked away. It was so fucking funny, bro. It just cracked me up. I just, you know, that's what I want him to do if he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But fuck, it was hilarious to me. I just thought it was great.
Man, I'm good. I absolutely love when tattooers don't want notoriety.
Yeah.
Or don't have any interest in broadcasting their work. You know?
Well, I used to give Bruno shit about it, and he'd be like, it's right here, dog.
Yeah.
If anybody wants it, it's right here.
Yeah.
And Andrew kind of the same way. I recently shared this ballpoint pen thing he's doing. Did you see it? It's like a a harpy.
Yeah, I did.
But it's like, I don't know, like a lion.
Yeah.
It's so incredible, dog. Mm-hmm. His girl faces, his anatomy in general, he can do great hands, he can do great feet, the hardest shit, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, please post that. He's like, I was like, come on, dog. He's like, if you really want to, you can post it, but I'm not going to post it.
Yeah.
And he puts very little out. Mm-hmm. Very little.
I'm always excited when I do see something from him pop up.
Anyway, that's my dog. But yeah, Tom was just like, whatever. I thought it was hilarious that he was trying to kill the Tommy Mac hashtag.
You know, lately, when a tattoo's finished, like I always try to get healed pics or whatever, but like, and it leaves and I don't post it or don't even take pictures, it feels so much better to just let it go, be in the wild.
Sure.
And it you know, it makes it a little bit more special.
Do you ever have a client that has an expectation that they think if you don't share it, you don't like it? Because that's a real thing that exists amongst clients.
Right.
I don't think that. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
I think what you're talking about speaks to the Jason Brooks thing of like, yes, I that's complete. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow there'll be a new thing in front of me.
Right.
And setting that free is you not taking ownership of it, and to the point that it might make you think you have to do more of it.
Right.
You can just, and again, I don't feel like I'm speaking to you, but it just, by you saying letting it go, that what I hear is like, because I gotta get to business. There's another one tomorrow. There's a fucking, this thing's coming in tomorrow. I got a Fudo back piece. That's where my focus is now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Any of that?
It's part of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even so much that I'm eager to move on, but I just feel like this, you know, pandering for likes or you know, the need to put it out on the internet it's hard for me to come to terms with. You know what I mean? I understand that this is the reality that we live in now.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it's free advertising. And so I always am thinking about business and, you know, how to keep growing it and how to keep moving forward and provide myself more opportunities to do the work that I want. You know, so that's the reason that I put effort into Instagram. But the tattooing's so magical, you know what I mean, that to like just keep it and that whole experience and process between me and the client, and no one else has ever seen it until you see it in person.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, putting a back piece or even a sleeve on an Instagram post to me is super ineffectual. You don't get the feeling of the energy that was put into the project out of your phone screen. You know what I mean? So for it to not exist on the internet and for just people to see it in person, just like a Shinji tattoo. When you see them, you've never seen it before, and you're just like, holy shit. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
You know? And
that's one of the great things about coming to conventions. I've had moments at conventions. Bro, when I was in Sacramento a couple years ago, there's this fucking Philip Blue back piece of the hot air balloon. Have you seen this thing?
Yes, I have.
With all the skeletons?
Yeah.
I saw this young kid, 24 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a picture of it that he was nice enough to let me take. Mm-hmm. I've never shared it, but yeah, I may never get the opportunity to see that again, or there may a picture that never may resurface. That's pretty fucking exciting.
Yeah.
Like I sent it to Will, you know, like you sent it to like two guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
You're right. There's something to it.
It's I don't want to sound shitty, but it like kind of cheapens it a little bit to me. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but I want to see the shit you did today.
Yeah, totally.
And you want to see the shit that Magnati did today. Mm-hmm. He's another one. This motherfucker don't post. It takes good luck to post something for him. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you know, I'm like, I'll text him sometimes and I'll be like, look, you don't have to post, but at least send me pics of the shit you're doing.
Yeah. I just send him pictures of my tattoos, and then he sends me pictures of his tattoos.
Yeah. Well, put me in a fucking group text, guys. All right. I want to see them all.
Yeah, all right, I will.
But yeah, no, I get it. And it also gives the client, like, but what I was asking before is, I think that there's an achievement in completing a back piece or a sleeve, particularly a back piece, And it gives them some sort of like, you know, a positive feeling of accomplishment for you to say,
Yeah.
this is something that I've spent 2 years with this client and look at it now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that, and I want them to have that for what it's worth. I have not had anyone express to me disappointment over something not being posted to this point.
That's probably more of a lower scale thing of like people that are heavy in social media wanting validation from their tattooer.
Right.
Yeah. Because I guess bodysuit people aren't really.
Yeah, they want it because that's what they want.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for anyone else most of the time. You know,
Yeah.
at least in my recent experience with my clients, that's the way it feels.
How many suits do you have going at one time?
I think I probably have 10 people that have a mind to get a bodysuit or are working in that direction. You know, whether they've declared that they're going for a bodysuit or not.
Gotcha.
You know, they're coming back consistently and just being like, all right, you know, or like I have a kid that came in and just wanted back piece. He was like, I just want a back piece. You do whatever you want. We go through this whole process.
Just to the waist or all the way to the knees?
Just to the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
To the, like including the butt?
yeah, just
Yeah.
down to the bottom of the curve.
Gotcha.
You know,
Yeah.
which is
That's great.
it's great. Yeah. And we finish, and I'm like, all right, dude, you know, let me know if you want, you know, when you're ready for something new. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I've got appointments in 2 weeks. We're gonna start my leg. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
A whole one, like one whole leg?
Yeah. Bring it down.
Yeah.
You know, continue it on. So, you know, then we're working on the story, like how do we come off of the back and
Yeah.
like add more content to it.
I fucking love you heard me go off about it.
Yeah.
I fucking love large scale Japanese. There's just nothing like it.
There isn't.
You know, I love to see an ill black and gray suit. I love to see a veteran tattooer who's like pieced together some ill shit.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at somebody who's got just a really well executed uniform Japanese suit, man,
Yeah.
there's just something that nothing else has.
Yeah. To me, it's the pinnacle of tattooing.
It is.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's rich in history and culture. It's super powerful. Can age incredibly well. You know, it fits the body. It moves. If
Yes.
it's done right, it moves, and that is amazing. When you see a good dragon layout or a tiger layout, and someone's arm is, you know, they're just walking. You know what I mean? And it feels alive. You know, it's just like,
It's one of the illest things about coming to this show.
yeah.
Like I've seen a couple. Saw one chick walking around and her shirt was pretty cut up, but she just had like a big fucking Japanese face, and I don't know what it was, but it's probably not Nakumi, you know, some sort of like it did, but it wasn't colored blue. I don't know. It had no background. It was just sick. And then I saw another girl tattooing, and she just had a downward crawling tiger in black and gray, no background, just black and gray crawling tiger down. And it was Japanese style, and kind of had that fucking curvature to the upper lip, you know.
Right.
So much cool shit, man.
Yeah.
I get so fucking hyped running around this motherfucker.
Same. That's why I come here.
Dude, the guy that Magnati was giving me a tattoo had a Nava hand and a Whitehead hand.
Mm-hmm.
The Whitehead was a skull with some flame coming up behind it and some weird texture, something. And Nava was like a Oni head.
Mm-hmm.
And they were fucking flawless. And they were fairly new. Like they weren't, I doubt either one of them was a year old. God damn, I got so excited. And I'm like, you're giving me a tattoo by Magnati. I was talking to Magnati and his girl. And the dude turned to me and goes, it's so weird hearing your voice and it's not coming out of my fucking stereo right now or my car stereo.
Yeah.
It's like, I hear that fairly often at
I
conventions.
bet. Yeah.
And then he was very gracious and thanked me for the podcast, which always feels great. And then I went to shake his hand, and I saw Smart Now. I was like, what the fuck? And then I just instinctively looked at his other hand, great Whitehead, crazy, and then I'm like, you're getting tattooed by Magnati? He's the fucking, the man, you know?
Dude, have you seen the rest of the tattoos? He's got his back, his front.
You know
that guy,
Rob?
Rob? The guy that Chris was working on earlier today?
Well, he was getting ready to put a stencil on him
Oh,
When I
okay.
talked to him.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't see the dude you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's when I went down there and looking for you, and they just he was getting something like this on the back of his calf.
Yeah. I know. I didn't
think it
see
was
those
a ghost.
tattoos.
Bro. It was Adam. Very nice guy.
Yeah.
So ill.
Yeah, I come for that reason
Yeah.
specifically. You know, it's like I want to be inspired. If I'm gonna leave my comfort bubble, I'm gonna leave my tattoo station. You know, it's got to be for a good reason.
How often do you travel?
Not that much.
Yeah.
You know,
Have you
travel.
been to Japan?
I have a couple times.
A couple times.
Yeah.
I had a feeling you had.
Yeah, first time was 2018, and that was a pretty big pivotal moment for me in my practice. You know, it might sound a little woo-woo, but going there and seeing source material,
Oh yeah, like temples and stuff.
yeah, you know, like all the woodblock prints and, you know, paintings of dragons and shit that we see in books and try to distill down into what we do come from temple carvings, you know, and paintings on the walls in those places and stuff, and like to be able to go see it in person and like get close to the spirit of Japanese tattooing was life-changing for me, you know.
What's your relationship with drawing dragons?
I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's like, you know, you're chasing the dragon, right? It's constantly evolving and constantly changing, you know, and when I think I got a handle of it, and I'll look back on something I did last month and I'm like, man, I got to step up my dragon game, you know, and even that dragon can be dialed, you know what I mean? And I'll still pick it apart and be like,
Yeah.
the eyes need to be bigger. If I scoot this forward, it'll have a different expression. If I lock the scales in this way, it gets more movement, or, you know, it's just, I can never get enough of it. It never ends. It's
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Never
You
ends.
can't draw. You know, Timothy told me 15 years ago, he was like, you can't draw a dragon until you've drawn 1,000 dragons.
Right.
And that alone, I was not around people that were that disciplined, man. Like, Timothy fucking never stops. And so when he said that to me, let me retract that. I was around Andrew, who was that disciplined, but he was just focused on creating. But in the past 3 years, I would say 3 years, he has, and I again don't even speak for my brother, but he all he does is dragons, basically. He will do a traditional sheet as an exercise to keep his muscles strong. He will do, and again, I feel like I'm speaking for him, but he doesn't speak that much for himself. If I try to get Andy to talk about himself, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I can get him to talk about tattoos, but, you know, he will do a classic sheet because he can do it standing on his head and nails every time. And he'll do like this ballpoint pen thing because some people like it, and, you know, you got to make a living and all this other stuff. But man, he's got 10 dragons in the works today. I guarantee he does. And some of them are, you know, as you could put up right there. They're that fucking tall. Some of them are 11 by 14, just coming out of clouds and whatever. But this motherfucker's drawing dragons, and you can tell that he can't stop.
No, you can't. I mean, it's limitless. The poses, the environments, the way that you can render them. You know, like you're talking about 11 by 14, you can make it all splattery and loose, and it's just a head and a claw, and that's sick. You know what I mean? You can do it 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide, and it's all 4 legs and fire, and, you know, you can do the spines a million different ways, and the belly scales in different
He
ways.
just started this kid's front, and it's like from his, you know, just below his waist, like right at his hips to here, and it's a fucking upward facing head and a claw.
Sick.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Yes.
I cannot fucking wait. He just outlined, I cannot, and he didn't tell none of us. This kid he's doing all, it's a tattooer that we all know. He tattoos a classic tattoo in Richmond, Virginia, works for Jason Hobby. And Andrew never said a word. Kid came in on Sunday, got his front outline. And then he sent me a picture. I was like, I didn't know you were getting this done. He's like, yeah, I've been in the books for weeks. And I say something to Andy, he's like, oh yeah, pretty cool, I'm excited. What the fuck? but it's so gigantic, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's just side of the head looking like the mouth open toward upward, and a claw right here.
There's nothing like a fuck off dragon head.
Yeah.
That just
This is that.
unbeatable.
I just can't wait to see how
You
it
know,
goes.
the power, you know, because just it's so dynamic and it's got all this movement and aggression, and you know, you put that, I love that upward, you know, arcing neck where it's almost like starting to go backwards. Yeah.
This same kid has a fucking Bruno back piece that's done in like a Bob Roberts style. It's just like a Cobra and Skull
Yeah.
by Bruno.
Yeah.
But like, you could tell that Bruno was like, you know, with respect to Bob Roberts kind of thing, nasty.
Yeah. I always wanted to, but never got to do a Bob Roberts style back piece like that, where it's like one central image with like, you know, some wavy clouds around it, and then, you know, a couple bigger ones that also have a frame, and then like one cohesive background. Yeah. Just unbeatable. Yeah. Bob did this hand.
Bob did you?
Yeah.
Fucking right. How was that?
2011.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. 14 years.
What was the experience like?
It was really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had.
That's long enough ago that I've never heard like terrible stories about it, but I've heard him like heard stories of him being like pick something different or whatever. Like,
Right.
you know.
So I got this hand from Jason Brooks in 2010.
I've been looking at it the whole time it was in
It's ill, right? So good. And yeah, I waited to get my hands on my neck tattooed until the rest of my body was pretty much done.
Yeah.
Like some little small spaces, some unfinished stuff, but you know, I didn't
Seams.
feel yeah, exactly. I didn't feel comfortable or that I had earned hand or neck tattoos until I reached my hands on my neck.
Yeah.
And so by that point, I had started to realize that I could be a little bit more deliberate about choosing who I got tattooed by instead of just getting them from my friends, you know. And like I said, Jason's always been a huge influence on me, so I knew I wanted to get one of my hands from Jason. So I went and got that one, and he was like, "Who are you gonna get to do the other one?" You know, and I told him the candidates, and he's like, "Oh, you should definitely go get tattooed by Bob. He like just got LASIK, and so he's like excited about tattooing again because he can see better, and you know, wants to get back into it." I'm like, okay, great. Like, I sold. You don't have to tell me more. You know, Jason Brooks is telling me affirming my idea. You know, like,
You go ahead and do that. Yeah.
so you got to just call the shop. You know, you can't get a hold of Bob any other way. So I call the shop. Oh, Bob's not here. Leave a message. You know, here's my name, my phone number. I want to get my hand tattooed. Nothing. This goes on for like a year. You know,
like once a month or something?
I probably called every 2 weeks.
Wow, man.
Yeah, it just, you know, just never happened.
Well,
you know?
you think if I want something, you're old enough at that point. If I want something, I gotta go after it.
Yeah. So I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna book a trip to LA, and I'll take my family. We'll go to Disneyland and, you know, fuck off and whatever. And while I'm there, I'll go to the shop every day until I catch him there, and I'll book an appointment.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll come back and get
Even if it
tattooed.
means I gotta leave and come back.
Yeah, whatever. You know, this is what, you know, this isn't working out this way, then I'll figure out another
More
way.
than one way to skin a cat.
So we booked a trip, and I shit you not, the day before we leave, I get a phone call, random number, which I almost never answer. You know, if it's not saved in my phone, like, leave a message. I'm like, no, I'll answer it. I answer it. There's a gruff voice on the other. Oh, is this Sam? I'm like, yeah. This is Bob Roberts. I heard you want to get a hand tattoo. I'm like, yes, I do. I sure do. And I'm going to be in LA tomorrow. He's like, all right, come to the shop this time. I go in there, talk to him about what I want, you know, and my wife's there, my son, you know, he was, you know, 11 at the time or something. And so Bob talks to me about my tattoo for about 30 seconds and then flirts with my old lady and plays with my kid for like an hour.
Fucking right. That's dope. I never heard anybody tell that story about Bob. That's shit.
He was a character. And so he's like, all right, and I tell him what I want, and, you know, he's like, come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm like, okay, cool. Come back tomorrow. No one else was in the shop. It was just me and him.
That's cool.
It was really cool. You know, go to the back room, and the guys had been like, they played a bunch of pranks on him. Like he would like start taking gloves out of the box and like the fingers were cut off.
Yeah.
You know, like he used this old Lucky's power like foot switch. You know, it's like just two little metal plates.
Yeah, super flat ones. Yeah.
And they had like unscrewed the thing, so if you like hook your machine up just on, you know what I mean? The foot switch doesn't work. So he's like, you know, figuring everything out. Shaves me with a straight razor. Smoking cigars the whole time.
That's cool. Like,
yeah.
With his gloves, like smoking?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Little cigarillos,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Just puffing away. But he told me all about the history of Spotlight and, you know, his life and being a biker.
Dope,
And,
man.
yeah, all kinds of cool shit, man. It was a magical experience. I'm really glad that I took the time and made that happen.
Yeah. That's dope, man.
Yeah.
That's dope. My boy Smalley's got a cool Bob Roberts tattoo. He didn't show that many people.
I'm gonna ask him.
Jay Smalley?
Yeah.
Yeah. We sat up here last night, me, him, Jimmy, and Angelo to the podcast.
Nice.
It was fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
We were getting, you know, me and Jimmy and Smalley were being kind of silly or just talking, and then Ange came in and the tone just changed a little bit. And not because, you know, Angelo has a deserved reputation of being grumpy sometimes, but he's also the best.
Yeah.
And man, he came in last night just excited, just like, you know, willing to talk about the old days, but also like wanting to express his enjoyment with current tattoos.
Yeah.
Which you don't get from dudes his age very
Not
often.
very often.
Bunch of grumpy motherfuckers
Yeah.
complaining a lot about shit. And he talked about no lies, just bullshit. He was like, it's a hard thing to do. And he's like, you know, people are being, you know, put on the spot. He's like, you're excited about a tattoo or a concept, and you express it at a level of excitement. And he's like, then I feel like I gotta match how stoked you are about something. And I was like, no, you don't. You just say whatever you want. He's like, no, it's hard, man. People, they hear, they might not know you, and this is their example of who you are.
Yeah.
Fuck, let's not be that serious, though. You know what I mean?
He's not wrong. You know? I mean, you do this all the time, right?
Yeah.
And you also don't listen to them, right?
Correct.
You know what I mean? So you don't, you know, you're not reliving
know how it
it and like
sounds.
whatever. For me, it's like this is, you know, I'm laying myself out here. You know, it's like
And I greatly appreciate it.
yeah,
But, you know, you chose what you want to talk about. You could tell those crazy stories about Elm Street if you wanted, and we could laugh the whole time, and that'd have been crazy. And it would have been just as acceptable.
yeah,
But I wanted a certain thing for you, and you were comfortable talking about it, which is
Yeah.
also exciting, because I love what you love.
yeah,
I love tattoos, but I love a specific kind of tattoos more. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's just straight up. I love traditional American tattoos as well, but I didn't give a fuck until about 10 or 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I really started being like, okay, my focus has been on Japanese, but there's a lot to be seen and a lot to be loved here and a lot of power. And I also, the thing I love about American tattoos, or traditional American, is when people don't overdo it. When you see a fucking working class guy and he's got a crawling panther and a rose and a dagger, like stuff that just fits these certain parts of his arm and he doesn't fill his whole arm up.
Yeah.
Like the Tony Polito type stuff, you know? Just a name, a little bing.
yeah.
That shit does it for me, bro. I love
Same.
those tattoos.
Same.
Love those tattoos. But yeah, I never try to put pressure on anybody, but I guess it comes with also who else has done it and all that stuff. But
Yeah, I don't mean to say that I feel pressured by you.
yeah.
Pressure from me, right?
Sure. Well, you want to be received well, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And I also don't want to, I don't know, make an ass out of myself.
See, you're not an asshole. I don't think that's possible.
You'd be surprised. Will you give me another one?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I mean, that's why I've never listened to these, because I
Thank you.
make an ass of myself. Usually I say a lot of dumb shit. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've heard it all.
You know, it is what it is. Live and learn, right?
Well, I don't learn because I don't listen to them.
It's probably smart.
Like, I don't really know. I mean, I know that I know how I present my personality. But my brother has chosen to like, he does the cuts anything that he doesn't think works or whatever he does. I don't really know. I feel like he's sort of shaped how you receive it.
Sure.
You know, and I don't even know that aesthetic.
And you know, he does a good job because when you listen to it, like there's no, I can't ever pick out like, oh, there's an edit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's very subtle about it.
Yeah.
He just doesn't like when people say and too much.
Yeah. It's understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really slows it down.
Definitely. So what do you think about the current? I don't do this to a lot of people, but I just appreciate you seem like optimistic, and I'm glad your shop's busy. Do you think is there a real slowdown? And
Yes.
And how long is it? If you had to predict the future.
There is a real slowdown, and you know, our shop's busy enough. You know, it's slower than we would like.
Same.
You know, but we're lacking. I think that when I observe it, the things that I feel are missing, I'm air quoting here for the recording, are, you know, tourist tattoos and Pinterest tattoos and things that fill in the spaces.
Yeah.
You know, the walk-ins are down, but they're still regular. But the walk-ins that we do get, by and large, are like people wanting to just pick through the flash books. You know
Which is
what I mean?
what we've always wanted.
They want cool shit.
But that's
you
what
know?
we've always wanted from them.
Yeah.
And we talked down on the Pinterest shit.
Yeah.
But the Pinterest shit
Puts
really
money
kept
in
the
it.
lights on.
Yeah. So we're doing fine.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's
same with that.
yeah.
Very fortunate. I don't.
Yeah.
You know, the only reason I even brought it up is because you've said twice that you have to be aware of the business aspect, and I respect that because some tattooers that operate at the level you do hand over the business to someone else because that's not what they want to do.
Right.
And so I'm just curious because you know, my eggs are in the tattoo basket, and I don't think that the slowdown is going to stop us.
No, it won't.
And again, it seems like you said, there's more people coming and saying, do you have any picture machine stuff? There's more people like coming and saying, I want a tiger than there was 5 years ago. I really do see that.
Yeah.
But the other stuff just isn't present. Like, you don't see Pinterest reference much anymore.
Yeah.
You really don't. Like, there's like a lot of like, still what I see is like fake tattoos, like Photoshop stuff. Take an image, put it on a body part kind of thing.
Right.
Then the people looking at it don't realize that's what it is, and they ask you, and then it's too small, blah blah blah. And I just call them phone tattoos. There's still a ton of those. Mm-hmm. Well, not a ton, but those are still existing. But you don't see like the Pinterest stuff. More and more people want
Real tattooing.
the aesthetic that we wanted to give them anyway.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
tattoos, yeah. And I think that's fucking fire.
Same. You know, I agree, and I enjoy seeing that stuff more. You know, the customers are more into it, and they need to be handled with less of a kid glow approach.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because they want real tattooing. You know, they accept it for what it is, and they're not trying to, you know, leave a bad review because part of their, you know, mountain tattoo fell out because they went swimming the next day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there, you know, there's good sides and bad sides to it. The slowdown is real, you know, and the reasons are bountiful. Too many tattooers, the economy, you know, people are scared of the administration. What the fuck is going to happen next? Who knows, right?
Fuck
all the things are happening, and I think 2 more years, and that will. I'm already seeing people quit.
Tattooers quit?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see some tattooers being like, this is terrible. And I'm like, well, doesn't that put more meat on your plate? I'm not an angry guy, right? So my approach is not, fuck you, you know, but at the same time, my approach is kind of peace.
Yeah.
If you don't want it when it's hard, then you don't deserve it when it's soft. You know what I mean? Like, that's not terrible.
No. it might sound harsh, but it's true.
But yeah, like this is our lives.
Yeah, and if you're not
7 years,
if you're not in it to live it, then go on and do something else.
And you can improve and tighten the bolts on things, and you can make your shop look iller, and you can come up with new things to offer people, and you can fucking improve on your fucking people skills. A lot of you motherfuckers are assholes, and it's no surprise you're not busy.
Yeah.
If a nice guy's next to you, he's gonna get the tattoo, and all these things are positives for us. So we just have to take them as what they are.
Yeah, you gotta evolve. Tattooing in its core nature is change.
Yeah.
So to ever expect it to remain the same is foolish, right? You have to expect it to change. You have to observe it and roll with it.
Correct. Especially in a street shop.
Yeah, you're gonna have to adapt. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You feel like you're slow, like look at your life. Like what's your community look like? Because for me right now, the way I see it is we're back to, say, 2007, right? And for all the different reasons, everything's washed out. There's so many things to choose from, right? But what does your community look like? Who do you know? Because if you, say, go join a fucking book club and you're in a room with a bunch of people that you've never met before, two of those people are going to be interested in getting tattoos, and because they know you, they will come to you.
Sure.
So how do you expand, right? It's about us. Like we can all do something differently to improve, whether it's your work ethic, the quality of your work, the quality of your customer service, the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah. I've said for a long time, if your shop is whack, look in the mirror.
Yep.
If everyone in the room's complaining instead of tattooing, maybe you're in the wrong room.
Yep.
And it's hard sometimes to take yourself out of your peer group, because that's what it is. Like, within tattooing, it's such a lifestyle. We're all we operate with the group of people that we work with. We oftentimes even vacation or travel with. We spend personal time with. You have to be engaged, and as a shop owner myself, I feel like I have to be somewhat engaged with all my employees, because this is not a factory.
Right.
And I want to be able to know who I'm dealing with, know if they're having a problem, know if they're needing assistance, know if they're having a fucking renaissance and a great inspiration. I'm dealing with artists. These motherfuckers, some of y'all's lives are roller coasters because of the need for motivation and inspiration and self-reflection and all the things that creative people deal with. I have to have my finger on the pulse of all that. At least I try to.
Yeah. I have been wanting to compliment you for a while on the fact that you are one of the rare people that owns a shop and doesn't tattoo, but loves tattooing so much that you're still pushing it forward. That's a super rare breed. There's not very many people like you, so respect.
Thank you very much.
For exactly what you said and everything else that you do. You know what I mean? That consciousness and awareness of what's happening around you and wanting to help facilitate, the tattooers to be better,
I use that word
busier,
a lot,
and happier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That lifts everyone up.
Man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Outside of my wife and children is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And before I had my wife and children, it was the only thing.
Right.
I love it so much, and it's a place to belong, and it's a place that has taken care of me as I've tried to take care of it as best I can. And so, thank you very much, because it means the world to me. And what I do is like to pay my dues.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I try to do.
Hey, the tattoo gods are watching.
Well,
and
I'm a lucky guy.
Yeah. Well, you earned it. You know what I mean? Like you said, it was your everything before you had a family. It's like it's not because you just happened into it. You know what I mean? You contribute, like this podcast and the shop talk and your shop and everything. That it all matters. You know what I mean?
Man. It's funny. Annette, Annette LaRue. I'm sure you've heard of her if you don't know her. She's amazing, and when she was working for Tattoo Lou in Miami, she said right after she started tattooing, because the first thing he said to her, she said she wanted to be a tattooer, and he said, "You can't tattoo, your pussy will get in the way."
Oh, fuck.
That's like the first thing she said the first time I had her on the podcast. She told me that. And I just, and she was like, immediately took that as as her opportunity to say fuck you to him and, and their relationship and evolved and all that stuff. But she said after she was tattooing, he looked her in the face one day and he said, everything you ever want in life will come through that door. You just got to be here doing it. You just got to be here tattooing. Everything that you could ever want will come through that door. And I met my wife in a tattoo shop. And I've met the best friends of my life in a tattoo shop. And I've had incredible experiences through this thing of ours that have taken me all over the world and made friends. All these things are so important to me, and it's all because of that. And Tattoo Live is fucking right.
Yeah.
And it's been true to my life.
Yeah.
Pretty dope.
It's super dope. Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
What it's done for people to be able to travel the way that we've traveled and just engage with the people. A ton of my heroes, and I'm probably say your heroes too, are downstairs.
They are.
Downstairs. Mm-hmm. And we can walk up to them and laugh with them and tell jokes and take a shot. It's really fucking, it's quite a privilege.
Yeah.
To be in this thing of ours.
It's the magic of tattooing.
Yeah.
That all of those things are the best parts.
Yeah.
The work is wonderful and it's rewarding, and I love the pursuit of pushing myself to be a better artist and figure it out. But the people that I work with, and the people that get tattooed by me, and people that I meet through tattooing, and all of those relationships and experiences are what it's all about. That's what makes it a rich and fulfilling life. Without everyone around and involved, it wouldn't be anything.
Man, I've been in the game, like I said, 27 years. I'm 47.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a couple jobs like you did before, but I just can't. Sometimes I can't fucking believe that I have not taken a paycheck from another man in all these years.
Yeah, it's wild, right?
Pretty fucking wild.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't raised to be a boss. I wasn't raised the way I'm trying to raise my children, to be in control of something,
Mm-hmm.
and to understand the movement of something. No one ever taught me nothing like that. My desire to not be, man, the dude, the air conditioner was fucked up in both these rooms earlier, and this guy who didn't speak a lot of English, Hispanic fella, came up here and fixed them both in fucking 10 minutes.
Hell yeah.
And he was the nicest fucking guy in the world. I mean, he was real nice. Mm-hmm. But I could tell his back hurt.
Yeah.
And I tipped him, and he couldn't believe it. When I went to tip him for fucking making my room cool again, he just wouldn't put his hand out to pound me. And I was like, no. And he was like, oh, that's too much. And I'm like, no, thank you. I'm hot in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
He was great, but I don't want to do what he did.
No.
I just don't. You know what I mean?
No, you.
And I need him, and I appreciate him. That's why I tipped him, and not everybody is able to do that. And the fact that I am is why I did it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do what he does.
Me either.
He was taking this fucking thing off. He crawled in that hole right there.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, before we go, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for, I'm so glad you sat in with Chris's, and I hope you had a good time. I know we had a good time then.
I had a great time.
Tonight. Thanks for, I really appreciate talking about Japanese tattoos, because, some people want to talk about it and they don't have a grasp of it. Some people that have a grasp of it don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Happy to do it. Grateful to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. It's always super fun.
Thank you, man. Please tell folks how to see your tattoos and get tattooed by you.
You can find me at Dedication Tattoo in Denver, Colorado. It's at Dedication Tattoo on Instagram. Get on there. Check out the guys' work. Everyone's a great person.
Top-notch tattooer.
Great tattooer. My personal Instagram is The Real Sam Yamini. I spell my last name Yamini.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Electrify. Even die for the cash, but at last we be out, even though you wanting more. This issue was closed like an elevator door, but soon we open once we get to the next floor with the vibe. Come on. Stakes is high. You know them stakes is high. We're dealing with the vibe. Stakes is high. Stakes is high. Come on. Vibe.
just bullshit.